Welcome back to the Skid Factory, where today it's new project time. This little gem belongs to a mate of ours, Lee. It's a 1972 Holden LJ Torana. These were initially based on a European or UK Vauxhall Viva. They then brought them to Australia and then pretty much chopped them up and made them into an Australian car because they only had a small 4-cylinder engine in them and that wasn't good enough for us. So they stretched them out a bit, put Holden 6s in them, the old red motor, and sort of pretty much modified them so they had bits of HQ Holden and whatever the large car of the day was, they kind of modified them so they could run the same sort of componentry. So even though it looks probably like some other GM world cars, it has been sort of heavily modified for Australian purposes. They came with a few different engine sizes, just red 6s. They did do a 4-cylinder version that was shorter, I think it was about that long. So they extended the nose for the 6-cylinder engine. Red 6s, they weren't very big 6-cylinder engines, only like 2.3 and 2.6 litre. They had then 3 litre in the real performance ones, and then eventually a 3.3 litre 202 with triple carbies and all that sort of stuff for the racing versions. This is not a racing version. The racing ones were 2-doors. So they were called GTR XU1s, which raced at Bathurst and were very successful there. So they went away from the large cars with big V8s and went to a small, nimble car and put a sort of high output 6 in it to try and make the use of the handling. And it was very successful. They did beat the Ford V8s a fair bit. Lee's owned this car since he was about 20 years old, and I think he's in his mid-30s now. It was a bit of a bogan-mobile. Had a 308 in it, so a Holden red 308, similar to what we put in the HJ, an Iron Lion, if you will. It's actually mod plated for a 308, which means it's a pretty rare car because you can't put that engine in these easily anymore. So probably Torana bogans will probably get cranky that we're going to put something else other than a 308 in it, but at the end of the day it's Lee's car and he'll do what he wants. So originally when he started talking about the car, it's like it's been sitting in his shed for 9 years with no engine and gearbox in it, as you can see by all the schmutz and rat shit and mould all over the speedboat interior. So we started talking about doing it because it's a pretty cool barn find, except for it wasn't found in a barn because he knew it was there. He wanted to put a Honda K24 engine in it. And I said, you've got to be kidding. You're going to get crucified by the internet if you try and do that. But he didn't care, so we looked into the K24 and found out that they're probably the least easy engine to fit in a rear-wheel drive format.
It was actually the one time where you were keen to do a Honda conversion until you realised that it wasn't really going to work.
No, I wasn't keen, but if he was keen, I would have done it. But they're just too hard to fit into other things with that big oil pump balance shaft thing that's hanging underneath it. I'm sure there's heaps of people on the comment section that will say that you can fit it to this car, but I'm pretty sure that no one ever has, so believe me when I say I did research it and it wasn't going to be easy.
Maybe if Lee still had the letterbox bonnet scoop, it would have fit, because the engine would have...
Yeah, because we could have just sat the sump on top of the cross member and it would have been hanging out the bonnet. So we went through the K24 thing and figured out that without dry sumping it, it probably wasn't going to be a thing. So there's no point getting an engine that's $900 that can handle heaps of power and then spending thousands and thousands of dollars fitting that stock engine in the car chassis. So I sort of swung him away from that a bit, also for his own safety. And we went to the next obvious thing, which was an RB engine. You know I'm lying now, right? No, people do put RBs in these because anywhere a Red 6 has sat, an RB will usually fit pretty easily. So there is heaps of these around with RB engines in them. And obviously an RB is a much, much, much better engine than a Red 6, so that that sort of is acceptable also. But we wanted an actually really good engine, not a sort of old 80s RB thing. So we went straight to the JZ engines, which obviously they're pretty unbeatable as far as a conversion into a car like this. You can make power really easy. They're super strong. They're not very expensive. So I think we both hunted down what ended up being a Sora 1JZ and Auto off Marketplace. Picked that up. That was about a year ago, and since then he's been very, very patiently waiting. Or maybe he wasn't patiently waiting. Maybe he was angry as hell and wanted to do it real quick. But it's taken us a long time to get to this stage. So now we're ready to go. We've just got to clean it up and make it so you can actually stand near it, because it wafts from about 2 meters away.
It's so bad.
I'm in a safe zone here, but when you get closer to the rear of the car, it's that bad that you nearly want to vomit. So we'll start out by cleaning it up. Probably get Lee to pull the interior out of it so you can demold it and that sort of thing.
There's like some kind of magazine that's torn up under the seat too. I don't know what the go is there.
He said he hid a stick magazine under his seat for when he used to be married and he wanted some time by himself, and the rats ate it.
What, in the car, in the garage? Good spot, Lee.
Wonder why he got divorced.
So you know a bit about the history of the car, Al. What's done to the car itself? Like, it's obviously not a standard car.
No, so it was built as a sort of a tough streeter back in the 90s or 2000s. I don't know. It's been painted. It's in really good nick. The body is really good for a car of this age. Doesn't really need anything other than a bit of a polish up. It's already got a 9-inch fitted to it, so that's a good thing. We'll probably just add some disc brakes to the back for engineering purposes. Front brakes, it's already got big hopper stoppers on it, same as what we fitted to the Kingswood, so that's a bonus. There's no driveline at all. That's all been removed years ago. I think he blew up the 308 doing burnouts or something like that. So we'll remove any of that 308 related stuff, except the mod plate. It's got twin exhaust. We'll chop all that off and replace it. There's heaps of room in here for the engine. It's a 6-cylinder car, so it already had an extended front end on them and that sort of thing. So it basically just comes down to the sump choice. We've got to use the rear sump for a JZ, which we bought a Sora engine, so it already has that. I believe that we need to do a little bit of trimming of the cross member to get the engine to sit low enough. As I said, it's been done heaps of times. It's a good match for this chassis to have a turbo 6-cylinder in them. So we'll do whatever's necessary there. I haven't really found anything specific on the internet. I've already done a bit of research on it, of course, as you do.
Has it been done? JZ into a
Torana? Yeah, heaps of times.
Yeah.
Just yeah. We'll work it out as we go, but I've got a little bit of an idea of what's required. It's obviously not. It's better not to chop things up if you don't need to, but if it's necessary, we'll do it. The front end is absolutely destroyed. Every bush is buggered. Some of them aren't even there anymore. The rack tie rod ends and rack ends are all screwed, so we'll just replace all that stuff. It's all doable. Wiring's okay. We'll just get rid of all the dodgy stuff and put new plugs and stuff on it. For the car side of the wiring, the engine side of the wiring will be all separate, as that's the way we normally do it. Just a couple of, trigger wires to turn things on.
Let's go with the firewall there. Is that meant to be like a heater box or something that goes there? Yeah,
they had like a big heater and all this sort of junk here that everyone seems to get rid of, so I'm guessing it's the done thing. We just played over it and use just 12-volt hair dryers for the demister, which is all that's required for road weather. You just need something to demist the windscreen.
Didn't Lee want to put aircon in this thing?
If he did, he's come to the wrong place.
I suppose you're flat out fitting the intercooler in the front there, let alone the condenser, so...
Yeah, intercooler fitment's a problem with this LJ grill. It's got a big plastic grill like a HQ. They sort of did a corporate front end look when they changed to the HQ model came out. This came out sort of at the same time. So they changed from a sort of like a 60s steel grill, metal grill, that was shallow to this big plastic thing that protrudes right inside and takes up your intercooler space. HQ Holdens are exactly the same. They're a pain to try and fit a big intercooler into. So I don't know what we're going to do there. I suggested just putting an LC grill in it so we can put a proper intercooler in it, but he was a bit militant about that because it's not an LC, but at the end of the day, it's like it's an LC with J written where C was.
Is that what it is, basically, with a different grille?
I'm sure that there's a billion differences that only Torana people care about, but at the end of the day, it's the same sort of car. So
True that.
neither of them came with a 1JZ, so
Yeah.
we'll have to make these sacrifices. What do you reckon? Clean up first or
Yeah, I've just
engine
gotta-
build first?
I just got a waft of that rat stench. So I reckon you can start up the Honda and we can clean out the mud wasps.
Give her a clean up. I think Lee's going to come pull the interior out to get it cleaned, and
Is he coming up today, is he?
I hope so. He can find the rats and get rid of them. Actually, they're probably already gone. The snake probably got them.
Yeah, true.
But the stench is there, that's for sure. And,
And
he's got to get his stick mag from underneath the seat as well.
It's in a million pieces.
Good times.
Good times. Sitting in my car in the dark.
Weeping. Nah. Easily identified system. If it's red, it's a wire.
Got the relay to the head.
Not sure whether it's supposed to go back in here or back out that way. That'll do. There's the stick mag. There's a lip and there's a breast. Not even joking. I'm gonna leave that for Lee, you might need it for Ron. The only Honda that's ever gonna go anywhere near this car. Put stop tail bulb on the list.
Oh, dude. You're lucky they didn't break.
You see the rat access hole
Where's that?
in the bottom of the seat there?
Oh, there.
It's the equivalent to an archway in a Disney cartoon or a Tom and Jerry cartoon. There's Lee's stick mag.
Oh, dude, that's so bad. I wouldn't be touching that without gloves.
Proper grot.
Oh, I can't even stand this, dude.
It's better. Better not in there. Won't somebody think of the stick mag? I'm the one getting the shit out. Why have you got the thing on?
Because you've got no sense of
Oh, gross. It's like a rag.
like a jigsaw puzzle.
Oh, the stick mag.
What is that?
It's a... Oh, Lee, what sort of stick mag is this? Oh. Way too much shit not known about.
Be careful, that rag could have been the cleanup.
Oh no, oh bro.
I can see like nipples and stuff that are out there.
Yeah, there's like some shit, alive looking shit in here. Those things, look. They're alive.
Are they maggots?
Yeah. See it?
Oh, dude.
Might just leave it out here to drip dry and let the rats escape and the stench go. Head up to Toowoomba. When we get back with the donk, it might be less stinky.
I hope so.
And this junk might not be in here anymore.
What's that? Stereo cabling. Why don't you like stereo cable stuff?
Because it's just for people that like shiny wires.
It's people that
And
like
poor
quality
connections.
Quality sound systems.
Yeah, they really needed wire this big for it. Science. We're back up in the hills here at Karen and Nathan's house. We're going to throw together this 1JZ. It's a little bit chilly up here. I've had to put some shoes on today and a nice Skid Factory hoodie. We've got Christian here, man of many names, if you ask us. He's going to help us out. He's the 1JZ King. You really should have 1JZ King number plates.
No.
Actually, you're not from Sydney, so you probably don't need to do that.
No, I just like them. I don't care. Everyone should just leave them all for me.
Yep.
You've got half of them in Australia anyway.
Don't look how many are outside.
We pulled apart this one previously with the 2JZ. It's all been cleaned up, machine shop work. What did you do to it?
This one just got a hone. The tunnels were good, so they didn't need a tunnel.
You decked it.
It got a deck. Most of the time we deck it
Maybe
regardless.
a crank linish.
It got a linish and balance if needed. I can't even remember.
You don't need to do
If
much
it
to a
needed
1JZ, they just work.
If it needed a balance, he would have done it. If it came up within a gram or so, he would have left it.
Who's your machinist? Do you want to give him a shout out?
Yeah, shout out to our man Griffo at All Talk. He looks after us pretty good.
Griffo, that's
Griffo.
proper Aussie name.
Sounds like someone
That's
that's a big,
actually his
big
name.
Nez show.
Or you can call him Grant.
Okay.
That's on his birth certificate, Griffo.
Yeah.
That's it.
So this was a stock engine. When we pulled it apart, bearings and everything were pretty good on this one, weren't they?
No, well,
I'd have to look at the
pretty
video.
hard to kill a 1JZ. Was it full of sludge and rust and shit?
It was full of sludge, but before the sludge got in there, I think it was a pretty good runner. So
Pretty standard.
if you look at what they were like when they came apart, yeah.
I believe it was out of a Sora, so it would have been well cared for.
The sludge was from when you washed it down anyway.
No, it wasn't.
That was like watery sludge. It wasn't.
Lies.
It was from the sky.
I can't remember actually.
So this will just be a stock bottom end rebuild, and then it's just cams and springs, top end
And boost.
and boost.
Sorted.
The remedy for your 500 horsepower.
So it'll
1J.
almost be as good as a 308.
So Goleby, if someone wants a 500 horsepower 1JZ built by yourself, do you offer these engine packages or do you just sell parts?
Now, at the moment, we're just selling parts,
Yep.
thanks to how busy we are.
Yep.
But our friend Grant will assemble it for us as
Griffo.
well. Griffo.
Use his proper name. Grant's his nickname.
It sounds like someone you've known since like back in your onion belt days, Alan. Yeah, me and Griffo down at the
Me and
park.
Griffo used to kick around back in the day.
I'd like to still do them, but yeah, we don't have time at work, so.
I think the good thing about this is proving that a standard 1JZ can make great power.
Look at the size
And
of that.
reliably
Look at
too.
that fatty.
Yeah.
Little short fat
And the
rod.
only reason you need to
What do you
rebuild
want?
them is because they're 30 years old now.
Yeah, exactly.
We're actually
right.
only rebuilding it because it makes good content.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Normally you just drain out the sludge, Fill it up with oil.
Give it a limiter bash. Click to free up the
Put a
valves.
turbo on it and off you go.
So what's in this cartridge today? We've got to measure some stuff and then...
Yeah. So some of it's... Griffo's already measured it once, but I always measure everything twice because it's a kind of fail-safe. Human nature.
And good for content.
And good for content.
And then...
It's all about the content.
Afternoon lemon squashes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right.
So let's finish this right now because I'm thirsty.
Get going.
You working pretty hard, Alan?
What?
You working pretty hard?
No.
I'm reading.
I'm supervisor.
I went to school.
Total supervisor.
Hey, Frank.
As mentioned, Kirsten's engine machinist Griffo has already checked and measured the main tunnel bore and has marked the smallest main journal. Christy then double checks the oil clearance on number 3 main cap to confirm that it's within Toyota's specification. Using bearings in the front and rear main journals acts as a V-block so that Kylie can check the crankshaft for run out. All the main bearings are then installed onto the main caps and tightened to spec. Kimberly then checks the crankshaft thrust on the snout of the crank using the dial gauge.
It's easy to keep it square.
Another job is to check the ring gaps, which on this engine, the top rings were required to be opened up ever so slightly.
Golby's not even a qualified automotive YouTuber and he's checking ring gaps, Alan.
First I checked with my eyes. They were large, but I
You
thought
just got to increase them. It doesn't matter what they are. You just make them bigger.
someone was filming, so I had to.
It's the key to power.
Actually, you are a YouTuber, aren't you, Goleby? Oh no, I suppose you don't post on there, do you?
Nah, not much. I stay invisible sometimes.
He's more of a Facebook watcher.
Facebook guy, yeah. Facebook and Insta.
Do you think you have to get rings if you're on Facebook Watch? Or is it just a YouTube thing?
I think it's just a YouTube thing.
And if anyone can please comment with how I'm doing it wrong, would be good, thank you.
You don't have to ask, bro.
I'm sure you will be able to give me the tips. Like, I've only done this a few times, so.
You just scratched the ball.
Oh, there's a mark in the bore. Damn it.
With the rings on the pistons, the big end bearings are then installed onto the conrods and slid down the bore of the engine using a machined ring compressor that is the perfect diameter for the factory pistons. It's also important to align the ring gaps on the pistons away from any thrust surfaces in the bore.
So because Torana was smart, they made it easy. We're just 90 degrees, 90 degrees.
That was 93.
Yeah, if you go a little bit more, it's good for 600 horsepower, not 500.
Is that sine drive?
Toy.
Bottom end's all back together. Now we're going to grab a genuine Toyota head gasket. Multi-layered steel from factory.
Tested to 56 psi in my Capri.
And whack the cylinder head on.
These nuts.
Embrace me, my canine brethren.
Kill him.
Standard bolt hardware is being used in the bottom end of the engine, but the factory head bolts are swapped out for ARP items. These, along with a set of Camtech 272 degree camshafts, upgraded valve springs and Goleby's cam gears are the only things that are aftermarket within the engine. Everything else is factory straight from Toyota.
Nugget. Yeah, I'm just getting oil pressure. We've got the 1JZ finished, so it's just about out of our hands. So it's just a fresh rebuild with cams and springs basically. It's ready to go home to be fitted to the Torana.
How much power?
We give warranty up to 206 kilowatts, which is what they came with.
Sweet.
Yep,
I reckon we'll just go to 205.
yep, perfect.
Should be enough, Lee? Yeah, good. That's about twice as much as a 308. So big upgrades. Big thanks to Karen and Nigel for having us. We're going to load her in the car and head home because it's getting cold and there's wolves. We'll see you next week when we sling this into the Torana. Thanks for watching. Slaps roof of Torana. Rats run everywhere. Nice letterbox, Ed.
No, I wanted to do that.
You decided to help out, Al.
My phone doesn't work, so I got bored.
I said squirters and he got his hands all over it.
That's right.
What did you just say?
We also didn't use the impact driver on the bolts.
Okay.
Not 22.
Can't get enough of those Ugga Dugga memes. That's the best thing about memes is when people just continually share the same thing over and over again. And it's really boring.
The cylinder head?
The cylinder head.
Or our cylinder head? Or Lee's cylinder
It's not
head?
ours.
We're giving Lee
You
head.
can't take ownership of every part of a car. You can't say our bolt. It's the bolt.
My oil pump.
It's not appropriate, I'm sorry. Stop it. There's our 1J all together. It's ready to go. Did I just say there's our?
You did.
We've got our. Now I said it.
YouTube disease.